Today we're driving the 2024 Chevrolet Equinox EV. This is a front-wheel drive 2LT. It has Super Cruise, which is awesome. It costs $46,000, all said and done. It makes 213 horsepower, 236 pound-feet of torque. In this video, let's walk you around it, go for a drive, and talk about what it's been like to live with this week. So we most recently drove the new Chevrolet Blazer EV RS. That was all-wheel drive, a little bit more powerful, and it was expensive. It was close to $60,000. And for the money, this I think is much better value. You don't really lose a whole lot in terms of space or practicality, and with the $7,500 tax credit, you can easily get one of these in the $30,000, mid $30,000 price point. I think it looks pretty good, and it drives pretty well too. This is just a nice everyday electric vehicle at a reasonable price, and offers a nice amount of features, tech, and cargo capacity. Let's take a look in the back here, see what type of storage space we have. Looks pretty good. No compact spare tire. We do get a fix-a-flat kit. Here's your charge cable. Plenty of room in those back seats. Not a huge fan of these door handles. They are kind of hard to hold on to sometimes, but you do get used to them. Nice flat floor back here. Vents. You see a lot of this blue trimming in this interior. Not completely convinced on the way it looks, but the rest of this interior is pretty nice. We do not get Apple CarPlay in this Equinox EV, though you do have most of the apps that you would probably be using in CarPlay native with this Android-based operating system. Armrest, pretty comfy back seat area, nice and spacious. I'm 5'10". This is my driving position, and I have lots of room to stretch out back here. Good amount of sidewall on these 245/55R 19-inch Michelin tires. Here's your charge port. This can DC fast charge at a max rate of 150 kilowatts, which is quite good. We do not get a front trunk in this Equinox, but let's take a look under the hood anyway. Just pull this lever twice to get into there. And you can see lots of electric bits like your front motor and everything in here. Washer fluid, coolant, and lots of orange wires. Some faux carbon fiber here integrated into the front end. Nice. I mean, this is just basic transportation. It doesn't need to be revolutionary. I like the Equinox badging here. This is kind of a cool design element. This does a very nice job at being a car, a normal car, that just so happens to be an electric vehicle. Again, this blue trim, I can't help but kind of shake the feeling this week that it's just covered by that plastic covering from the factory, and it just needs to be peeled off, and underneath it's silver, but I guess I get used to it. On the door panel here, it fades to black, which looks cool. The driver's window is one touch auto up down. Every other window is auto down, but you have to hold them to put them back up. Nice big water bottle or cup holders right here. A couple USB-C ports. A little bit of space here in the center console. It is quite deep. Super Cruise is a $2,700 option in this Equinox EV. Probably well worth it. Now, one note, this is a 2024 Equinox. For the 2025 model year, they get rid of all the LT designation trims, and they just simplify it with an LT and an RS Equinox EV. So that's kind of nice. They also add a little bit of power. It gets a little bit of a horsepower bump. So we'll drive the 2025 Equinox when we get a chance, but this video is just going to be on this 2024 version. Here's your reverse and 360 camera. That's very nice. Put it into drive. It'll show you a forward-facing camera as well. Here's your gear selector. Nice to have this as a column mounted shifter here. Back and down to put it in drive, back and up to put it in reverse, and then press the side button to put it into park. All of your wiper controls are right here. Like how the front wipers kind of come up and out. Rear wipers back there too. And then you can wash your window by pushing in that side button. A lot of manufacturers are doing these circular vents that twist and turn to turn on and off. Lock and unlock buttons right here. Ergonomically, a very simple cabin and interior. You even get a button here to kind of dim your screen display at night. There's a button to pop the tailgate, turn on auto hold, turn on and off lane keep assist, and there's your parking brake, which you should usually engage automatically if you're on a slope. We've got some physical climate controls right here. I've just left it on auto this week, and you can just kind of use these adjustments right here. No dual zone climate control. This is just your fan speed button right here. We also get heated seats, which you can control right there through the infotainment. Speaking of the infotainment, a pretty nice responsive setup here from Chevrolet. We've got ambient lighting controls, which I actually haven't played with too much at night. We can increase that brightness, and maybe we'll be able to see them a little bit during the day here. Google Maps is your native navigation system, but you can also sign in or create an account with Waze. This is a press car, so no one has really kind of taken ownership of this vehicle yet. You'd have to scan this QR code and either sign into your account or create an account to get going with that. That is one of my only complaints about the Equinox, is it would just be nice to just pair your phone with this, have CarPlay, and be good to go. You can do the same thing with the Spotify app here as well. You have a menu for climate control, pretty self-explanatory. Navigating through Sirius XM stations is pretty easy. All of your favorites show up right here. Overall, everything seems to be pretty well organized and laid out in this infotainment, and I appreciate how responsive it is. You have a few different drive modes: normal, sport, snow and ice, and my mode, which you can customize. I realized this week that I've actually just been driving this around in sport the whole time, so we'll try a little bit in normal. You have some quick access controls over here to the left to turn on and off regenerative braking, turn the vehicle off, quickly access your settings, and then all of your headlight controls right there. Mostly just leave that on auto, and that's all you need. I do like that Google Maps is the native navigation in this car. It integrates well with everything else, with voice commands, and the center screen, you can get a couple different displays here where you can see more information, a full Google Maps view if you want to have your infotainment screen on something else, or just this kind of minimalist, simplified view, which is kind of what I prefer. The only problem I have with this is I don't know if there's a way to turn this into a night mode, because the screen is just a little bit too bright all the time. All of your steering wheel controls are pretty easy to use and self-explanatory. You've got cruise control right here. Cancel that, set your speed, change your following distance, and engage Super Cruise on the highway. Again, about 750,000 miles of highway is enabled for Super Cruise on this Equinox. So pretty much everywhere you drive, you should be good to go. You've got a heated steering wheel button here. There's that button to switch displays on your digital gauge cluster. You can access your music, voice commands, and then volume and track selection controls are behind the steering wheel, as well as a max regen pedal, which you can pull if you just want to maximize regen. We're going to start out this drive with one pedal drive enabled, and then we'll kind of switch up into two pedal drive. I've actually been driving this in kind of a 50-50 split this week between one pedal drive and two pedal drive. I like the brake pedal feel on this Equinox EV. It's easy to modulate, easy to use, and when this EV just kind of starts up and everything's getting up to temperature, you don't get as much regen off throttle. So sometimes I've been using two pedal drive when I first start this vehicle up. We're going to start off with one pedal drive enabled, and we'll give you guys some driving impressions from there. There's a good amount of regen coming to a stop. It's very smooth. The calibration here seems to be quite well done. Nothing special about the handling. Because this is front-wheel drive, there is a little bit of torque steer. And it doesn't seem to give you full power until you straighten the wheel out. That could be traction control or just kind of some calibration with the electric motor. We're driving on a pretty bumpy section of road right now, and there isn't too much NVH coming into the cabin. From the tires, from the suspension, it feels pretty good. Let's come down to a stop here, show you guys what that looks like. Very, very smooth. And pretty quick off the line, too. Normal mode is much smoother in its operation with acceleration and deceleration. Sport mode can be a little bit jerky, but it is more responsive as well. Everything in this Equinox EV has a really nice light touch, from the turn signal operation to the steering. Everything is pretty much feather light here. Let's go into sport mode and see what we can do around this entrance ramp. There isn't a ton of power here. This is not a fast electric vehicle, but I would argue this is kind of all the power you really need out of a daily driven EV. It's not like everyone needs 500 horsepower, and I'm not sure I really want to be on the road with everyone that has a 500 horsepower EV that weighs 5,000 or 6,000 pounds. This feels kind of right as a normal commuter option. You have to work a little bit to get power out of this Equinox EV, and I'm okay with that. It gets up to highway speeds just fine, no complaints, and then Super Cruise engages pretty much as soon as you get on the highway. If you keep your eyes looking forward, it won't give you any grief. I did have one error this week. I was in pretty heavy traffic and stop and go. I had Super Cruise enabled, and all I did was hit the brake pedal to slow down, and it kind of freaked the system out. The flashers came on, and then it wouldn't let me engage Super Cruise for the rest of the drive. It's the only time I've ever had an issue with Super Cruise. Otherwise, it seems to work pretty flawlessly. As long as you pay attention to the road, the car pretty much does all the driving for you. There is a setting in the menu where you can auto lane change and have it pass slower or faster vehicles. I have it set to manually lane change when I signal, and I think I kind of prefer that because sometimes I don't necessarily want it to change lanes if I'm about to exit. I kind of want control over what the car is doing. I'm going to cancel this, and we're going to exit. Let's see how this handles. Mechanical grip is about average for any modern vehicle. A little bit of body roll. This definitely isn't as athletic as some other EVs on the market, but the handling kind of suits the character of this car. Again, the focus here is on comfort, not on performance, and that is just fine by me. Coming down from speed, letting regen do all the work to bring us down from about 60 miles an hour. Pretty strong regen with one pedal driving. You only really notice that torque steer in sport mode. In normal mode, the acceleration is so smooth and linear that it's not really much of a problem. I have good visibility all the way around. These side mirrors are a little bit narrow, but they get the job done. Lots of adjustment in these seats. I can get really nice and low or pretty high. Depending on what size you are, you shouldn't have any problem. All right, into sport mode. We've got an open entrance ramp. Let's drive this inefficiently for a minute. It's actually better around a corner than I expected. The harder you push it, the more it grips. Not too bad, not too shabby. very little wind noise. For the money, this is a very quiet, serene, and relaxing EV to drive. Super Cruise is kind of struggling a little bit here, but that's okay. We're a little bit far right. Let's see if it figures it out. 75 miles an hour. This feels pretty good. Auto lane changes happen pretty fast. Let's see what happens when we dip into the brakes here. No drama. Let's turn off one pedal drive. We do still get some deceleration off throttle with one pedal drive disabled. But again, we're mostly going to be using the brake pedal to bring us down from speed. And you've got your regen meter right here. Or this paddle, if you're feeling confident in judging your distance. Honestly, this just feels like a bigger, heavier Bolt. Kind of looks like one too. That is the sound that it makes in sport mode. In normal, I think it's pretty much silent. Or you can turn that down too. My mode. Motor sound. Off. Acceleration feel. Normal. Brake feel. Sport. Steering. Normal. Yeah. Let's go into my mode. Completely silent. That's nice. All right, guys, those are some thoughts on the 2024 Chevrolet Equinox EV. Not a whole lot to complain about, if I'm being honest. This is a pretty nice electric vehicle for the price, especially if you qualify for that sweet, sweet $7,500 tax credit. It does everything pretty well. I could see the fact that you can't get Apple CarPlay in this as a turnoff for some buyers, but honestly, I'm willing to kind of give it a chance because pretty much all I use CarPlay for is Spotify and Waze. And this has it built in natively within the system. As long as you're signed in, it should work without issue. The rest of this car is just an easy to live with, practical, pretty well priced package. It's refreshing to see some EVs coming out that aren't all $50 or $60 or $70,000. I think something like this really makes sense for most people who can live with an EV on a daily basis. They have a home charging solution. This is a great amount of range. Again, 319 miles on a full charge. You should really not have to charge this maybe once a week, if that, depending on how much you drive. So it's nice that you can fast charge this at 150 kilowatts. That's much better than the old Bolt used to do at 50 kilowatts. This definitely isn't the most exciting or fun to drive EV, and it's definitely one of the slowest EVs that I've driven recently. But overall, as a package, I think it has a lot to offer. To turn it off, you just open the door and leave. There's also an off button right there, but usually just get out and walk away. All right, guys, that's gonna be it for this one. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you in the next video. Take care.